of f prime and f double prime. Now, just to give you a heads up, so next month, and we're currently working on it from the teacher standpoint, we're going to have another study sessions. Student, what we used to be Saturday study sessions, and f prime and f double prime. What we're doing right now was covered in one of those sessions, or touched upon at least in some capacity as one of the lessons. We're going to do another follow-up to that one because it's such a big topic within this next study session as well. So talking about f prime and f double prime is something that not only is covered in the first review session, but it will also be covered in the second review section. And so we're basically doing the same thing. So remember, one of the most helpful ideas is knowing and understanding this table of properties for f prime, f double prime, increasing, decreasing. Oh, sorry, that's off. Positive, negative, increasing, decreasing, concave up, concave down, nothing, nothing. F prime being positive tells you increasing, negative tells you decreasing, F prime increasing, concave up, F prime decreasing, concave down. So when we're looking at this, so if you're looking at the graph of f prime, that's what's going to help us really for those. And then positive, negative, when we have the graph of f double prime, basically the only thing that we can determine about the function is increasing, decreasing. However, you can also talk about what the function f is doing. And what I mean by that is, I could ask you, if I give you the graph of f double prime, I can ask you, like I typically would, about the concavity for f. But I can also ask you about what f prime is doing. It's a very rare question, but I have seen it pop up on a multiple choice, and they ask you about, based on this graph of f double prime, when is f prime increasing? It happens, but not that often. An example of a graph of f double prime. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, we have something that's like here, 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 and then here. And this is the graph of y equals f double prime of x. Now, we're not going to be asking you about the properties of f double prime, all right? I'm giving you f double prime, and you want to be able to answer questions about f prime. Now, this is a very common single multiple choice type question. It happens usually one time. Here's the graph of f double prime. What does it tell? Now, there's also problems that we have to compare. Let's look at f double prime. Let's look at f prime and be able to tell that information. Excuse me. So, the question on hand is to identify and justify all points of inflection. So, where is there a point of inflection? Let's actually make that question A. Where is there a point of inflection? And yes, you're right. I should be a little bit more. For y equals f of x. So if this is the graph of f double prime, where does f prime have a point of inflection? I also wanted to thank those of you who took the real effort and time to really complete the Delta math. It's a lot more conceptual understanding. The same thing will happen tonight. If you do not have these concepts down, you will not pass the AP exam. I mean, for all the good work that you do, like I said, these understanding these concepts, we're getting closer to not just being able to just do problems, but actually how do we have to explain them and understand them to be successful on the AP exam. We have to do that. So I got my first answer, and the answer is correct. That has been messaged to me. And the answer is there is a point of inflection at x equals 3. Right here. And why is there a point of inflection at x equals 3? Because f double prime changes sign. Now, for those of you who are not participating, those of you who are just staying quiet the entire time, no matter what, be it verbally or even through the types, if you're not giving me responses, then that tells me, or I am just going to take it at this point that you know exactly what you're doing, and therefore I don't need to check in on you or ask you of any questions. You're an AP class, so if you don't want to take the chance to respond within any of the questions that I have, that must mean you're perfect with the material. I'm done with trying to just pull out teeth and trying to get you to respond after time and time again. For many of you, not all of you. Um, if you're not responding, you're not participating. I'll make sure that that reflects in terms of your participation grade. And if that doesn't matter much to you because you're still doing well with everything else, then it won't matter. If you're not doing so well with the material and you're not participating, well, that's going to hurt you more. But if you are basically college students, and if you can't go forward and participate when you have questions or you want to double check with it, then there's nothing really I can do for you. B, just to double check, when, for what x values, for 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5, when is y equals f of x concave down? Justify. Tried over the past week really to get you to hold up and getting the responses and as many responses as I can. It doesn't seem to be working for this class. So I'm going to be looking for answers, and we'll just move on because it seems to be that's the way you guys want to. For the majority, seems to how we want to learn. So let's get the answer here. For 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5. So from these values, x to 0 to 5, when is the function concave up or concave down? No. Number one thing I always say, you better know if this is an interval answer or just an at x value answer. Is this interval or is this a single value? Is the answer going to be an interval or a single value?
Interval?
Yeah, it's an interval. You can't be thinking that this is at a point. That would make absolutely no sense. Oh, the point, the whole entire function is concave down at one instantaneous moment. That doesn't make any sense. Um, if you don't understand here that the answer is an interval, then you really need to get to tutoring. You really need to. I want to be very adamant about that. You cannot at all expect to pass this exam. You have no chance that if you think that the answer is a point and not an interval of passing an exam unless you're going to start showing up to tutoring, unless you clarify that. All right. So the answer is no, still don't got an answer. Still don't got a correct answer. There we go. 0 to 2, union 2 to 3. Now, you could have also just said 0 to 3. That would have also been acceptable. I know the answer, but what about at x equals 2? That's, it's still technically, I mean, I like this answer right here. I prefer this answer. This is always right, but you might see that as a multiple choice. And the reasoning is because f double prime, what? What about f double prime? F double prime. And when I write the inequality, it seems that seems to be a little problem. F double prime is what? No, I don't know why. Nothing about. We're not talking about points of inflection here. We're talking about just straight up concavity. We're not talking about at a point. What happens at a point? Why is the answer 0 to 2 union 2 to 3? Oh, wait a minute. I said concave down. I said concave down. Sorry about that. Maybe that's what's confusing on this one. And it's happening for multiple people. I said concave down. This is not the right answer for concave down. Let me just change the actual. Yeah, let me just change this part right here. The answer that was given was for concave up. All right. Yeah, the concave down, the answer should be 3 to 5. All right. Make sure you. But if we change this to concave up, this would be the answer for concave up. All right. This is the answer for concave up, and the answer gets f double prime is positive. If the question was about concave down, then the answer would be 3 to 5 because f double prime is negative. Now remember, you got one shot at getting the answers right when it comes to the actual AP exam. So you got to make sure that you are understanding from the very first piece that you know what to do. I cannot reiterate how valuable the tutoring has been for those individuals who are going and how much those individuals who were going and have not been going lately have started to suffer in terms of your work. Utilize that time. You have an extraordinary opportunity that's been given to you that people pay thousands of dollars for in terms of getting the type of tutoring that you're getting. Take advantage of it. All right, so that's giving the graph of f double prime. F double prime will talk to you about the concavity of a function. All right, so you and like I just want to reiterate what I had said and put it on paper. The graph of f prime is one of the biggest and most important problems on the AP Calculus exam. There are multiple choice questions, and there is a full free response question dedicated. So that's a lot when it comes to the AP exam. And problems don't change much. You're able to get full credit more so than others. So then this is a topic in the problem. Now we have not finished talking about these. Okay, so far I would say that you could probably get around 6 of the points out of the 9 points, typically at best. At best, you could probably get 6 points based on what we've done so far. There is another aspect that we do have to cover, which is on the idea of accumulation in the integral parts, which is the second half of the course. So we will come back to this type of problem and follow up with it to get the rest of it. But for the most part right here, you can do a big piece of it. And it's one of these problems where either you know it or you don't know it. Either you're able to do it and you feel very, very comfortable with it because you've been practicing and you made sure that every time you've gotten to the right answer, or you are unable to do it because you haven't put in that type of work and review. So very important type of problem, very important piece. Make sure you can do that. So I want to reiterate. I really like the Delta math, and it's a very important part. It's a little bit longer. So yesterday you had 4 sections, and in playing with them and trying to answer them might have been a little bit challenging at first. I also just want to reiterate that, just as a reminder, rarely does the AP exam give the graph of y equals f of x, but not unusual. Understanding graphs of f, f prime, f double prime, and function analysis is critical. So even though the graph of f might not be so very, very rarely, I would say it's not unusual, but it's not common that you're going to be given the graph of f. You might be given, like I said, one problem where you're given the graph of f double prime. So while most of our focus needs to be on how to do the graph of f double prime, it cannot be just memorization. It cannot just be, I saw this problem, I've been doing these problems, and I'm able to do it. If we get, a month from now and I give you the sign of a student who is able to pass the AP exam is that if I were to give this problem, partway through our next unit or unit afterwards, and we review this, that you're able to recall how to do it and can get the majority of the points. We'll spend some more time reviewing and getting more practice as we lead up to the exam, which is really, really critical in AP Calculus, because there's a lot of material, but for the most part, the exam is very much easy to call. I say, you can tell what's going to be on there. But you got to practice the various steps and how to know which problem is being asked to do what. I want to give you the extra time so that in class or during the school day that you're able to work on the Delta math. If you were one of those individuals who did not do the Delta math, I can tell you right now that well, you're probably going to take a big hit in terms of your grade, and you're probably not going to be able to be successful in passing the AP exam. So take the remainder of class, complete yesterday's Delta Math if you have not done so, complete today's Delta Math that includes questions about around concavity, all right? Today's questions include those, you'll hear concave up, concave down, and points of inflections in today's set of problems, which you didn't yesterday. Take those times. If you are an individual who has not been showing up to tutoring, it's not too late. Tutoring is happening from 2:31 to 3 o'clock within my office hours with Dr. Eric and other students, and of course at 3 o'clock until almost when needed, but oftentimes extra time to really, especially a concept like this, extra time during pi r squared. If you have any questions, you can stay logged in. The remainder of class will be run asynchronously. Get your work done. Get that Delta Math. Don't just wait for tutoring. If you're a student that goes tutoring as well, try to start solving some of the answers and problems and seeing if you can answer them on your own, and then get the extra work today during tutoring. That's all I have for you for today. I'll see you tomorrow.